So this is the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and it's kind of funny how all the B-roll pretty much you guys seeing right now in this video were filmed pretty much the release month. So when I just got this phone, I pre-ordered it right after the launch event, so I got it pretty early on. But the reason why I haven't really edited or released this video yet, because I haven't really get a chance to use this camera for a while, which is the biggest upgrade of this year. In the past winter break, I did film a lot of the stuff with this. I filmed a lot of B-roll inside my regular min video. I also use this phone to film a vlog style road trip video, Tesla road trip video to the South Flat. You guys can probably check that out, it's already up. I also filmed a lot of the YouTube shorts using this video, using the cinematic mode. I guess let's talk about it. So I know this video is more from like a camera perspective, but we're gonna talk about the basic stuff. So first of all, the screen. Big upgrade of this year is a display, Super Retina XDR display. But here's the thing, I come from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and there is an upgrade, but I didn't really feel like it's really noticeable. It was like, oh my god, this looks so much better. So if you upgrade from a later, like earlier phone, like earlier than iPhone 11, you will see a big difference. But after 11, you probably won't see a huge difference in this new display unless you are comparing it side by side. Pretty much same design as last year. One of the things is the camera bump got a little bigger. A lot of people don't like that. I actually don't mind. In fact, I want them to make bigger. In fact, so I'm willing to let them making the entire back of the phone camera sensor, which means it's gonna get bigger sensor, bigger lens, better shot depth of field, everything. One of the bigger reasons I got this phone is 120Hz ProMotion display. I use it on iPad Pro. I use it on the MacBook Pro I reviewed. I use it on my old Razer gaming laptop. I use it on anywhere, and they all look amazing. I was so excited to get on the phone, which also looks incredible, but it doesn't really feel as impressive as a bigger screen. You feel a little less on a smaller screen compared to bigger screen. Now let's talk about the camera. This camera this year, obviously we got a bigger main sensor, even bigger than the 12 Pro Max, which already is a massive sensor for the smartphone. We got a better ultra wide with the f1.8 aperture lens, giving you better low light. Amazing. I show a lot of stuff with ultra wide. Here's the thing, so even though they do have an upgrade, it's still the ultra wide angle, so it still doesn't really look amazing when you are switching it into the ultra wide mode. The main lens with the wide angle is incredible. So this is almost looks like DSLR quality sometimes. You do get so much shot depth of field to the point that sometimes when I was in cinematic mode, I thought I was shooting shot depth of field, but in fact the cinematic mode shot depth of field doesn't really register when it gets too much low light. But the natural bokeh is so much that kind of like trick my brain think, oh, I was actually shooting the shot depth of field using cinematic mode. In fact, it's actually the natural blur. Now let's talk about cinematic mode. So the cinematic mode doesn't always work. It works really well when it was in ideal lighting condition, and that's when it works really well. All the footage you guys are seeing on the screen right now is also obviously in broad daylight, kind of like the action camera. When it has a lot of light, it looks amazing. Sunset, golden hour, short. When it gets a little low light, I wouldn't even say low light, like indoor lighting, it starts looking grainy. It doesn't really look very good. Alright, so one thing I actually did realize with cinematic mode is it doesn't always work. So right now I am standing here, you can see the background blur. Right now I am in cinematic mode right now. But when I'm looking around to the darker places, it says more lights required. So we're gonna walk actually where it's less light. So right now we are getting here. Actually, this is a little too dark. Let's just say right here. You can see the background wasn't blurred anymore. It's because cinematic mode requires a lot of light. But here's the thing, when you're filming, you don't really know, like, does it give you cinematic mode or not? Especially the main camera sensor give you so much shot depth of field to the point that sometimes it's actually too low light and the camera does not register as cinematic mode. But the main sensor is so huge, shooting the natural bokeh make you think you were in cinematic mode. And after you're trying to change the focus, everything, it doesn't work. Obviously, you have the ability to change focus, track focus afterwards. You have the ability to change aperture. One of the funnier thing, I have no idea why is each video you shoot with cinematic mode has a different default aperture. Sometimes it says 5.6, sometimes it says 2.8, sometimes it says 3.5. It seems like computer will adjust it for you. Some of these shots looks beautiful, some of these shots look a little fake, but it looks, I would say this phone sometimes giving you the footage looks better than my EOS R6 I'm shooting on right now. So I love technology. That's why I have a tech review channel right now. For the past few years, I always want iPhone to have the ability to shoot like shallow depth of field, like how these cameras can shoot. You know, we have portrait mode for a while now, and we know how good portrait mode can be. I was always thinking, oh, why don't Apple just take it up a notch? That's the only last thing that this camera can do compared to a big mirrorless or like bigger sensor camera. This year, when they actually gave me this feature, I have two emotions. I was excited, but I was scared. Like, I remember when I just got this camera, or like even before this, when I just got my first DSLR, which is a 7070 with like a kit lens. It takes me like half a year to figure out what aperture is, like what's different lenses, how do you get shallow depth of field, those kind of things. Now everybody just can pick up one of these and start shooting cinematic video now. There's no learning curve at all. You can literally adjust the blur, which with these camera you have to invest in thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars to get a really fast lens, and you can change the focus afterwards. Like, it's like when you have the AC, like assistant camera pulling focus for you, and you can like adjust it after that. In certain scenario, I would say this camera actually performed better than this camera. I don't have to switch in lenses. I have 3 lenses right here. I have 2 of them can shoot shallow depth of field, and I can adjust the blur to whatever I want and can focus pull it. So that's really amazing. Yeah, I am scared about the future. People used to say when you're creating any sort of even social media content or video, story is the king and the story is always the king. All the camera equipment, all the stuff is just to serve the story. Sometimes when you're using this big camera, especially for amateur or beginning solo filmmaker, you kind of get camera equipment, you kind of get too distracted by all the technical stuff. You kind of forgot what's important, which is the story. This kind of solves that problem. Everybody can use the iPhone. So small, very unique angle with super less effort. With this camera, if I want to film a moving shot, I have to put it on a gimbal, balance it. If the focal length doesn't work, I have to swap out the lenses and I have to balance it again, which is a huge pain in the butt. And that's how I did it for the past, I don't know how many years, 4 years or 5 years I'm doing video. Now everything solves by this. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you like it, please subscribe, and yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.